Let's do this.
Slam dunk, are you ready to meet me? I'm lit and I'm riding the fast lane. Don't let me down, I'm on fire.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks again for stopping by and checking it out. So some of you might be thinking, wow, I feel like this hat looks familiar. Well, hate to break it to you, but it is. It was in my last video, different color. It's just from a local coffee shop around here in town. Gotta support the local businesses, you know what I mean? Today we're gonna talk about tech. I love tech, absolutely love it. It's amazing to me that these devices in our pockets now can take cinematic grade quality footage. You can get a drone now these days for well under $2,000, and the entry point for a lot of these is only getting more and more accessible to all of us. I think that's really exciting. The piece of tech that we are going to review today is the Weebill S. Weebill S. Focus. There we go. I've had a chance to spend a few weeks with it. Overall, it's an amazing piece of technology, but today's video we're going to talk about 5 uppers and 5 downers of this gimbal. I wanted to provide you with really practical knowledge, really hands-on knowledge coming from a user of a few weeks. So I'm gonna nitpick a few things, but let's get into it. So number one, I would say is portability, hands down. I mean, the size of this thing is just absolutely amazing. My previous gimbal that I came from was the Moza Air. It was great, but it was just too big. I mean, it had the stability, it had the features. You can go and gcustomize the menus in here. It was just way too big. If something is too inconvenient for you to use, it's gonna give you every excuse just not to use it. And so I ended up gathering a little bit of dust. I probably used it just a handful of times, but portability to me was a really important piece of making sure that I use a piece of gear on a daily or weekly basis. One thing that I think that Zhiyun really nailed is the locks on this gimbal. If you look, every single axis can lock into place, and so that keeps it from flopping around on the side of your backpack. All right, so number 2 would be strength. The S in the Weebill S. Pretty sure that stands for strength. So Zhiyun kind of redid all of the motors in this gimbal from the Weebill lab to increase torque by, I think it's 300%. It's a massive increase. Now it advertises on its website that it can hold combos like Sony a7 III with 24 to 70 mil. I'm not a Sony or a Canon guy. I actually use Fuji, and I think the equivalent to those lenses would be something like this guy right here. This is the 80 mil, and you want to make sure that you try to pre-balance as best as possible. But once you do, this thing performs like a rock. All right, so number 3 for me would be the quick setup. One really cool feature in this gimbal is the auto tune feature, but this one is actually in the main menu. When you turn it on, you can just scroll on down to the auto tune function, and regardless of whether or not your load is properly balanced, it'll just automatically just switch right up to being calibrated and level. Number 4 for me would definitely be the underslung mode. Essentially, where you can take the handle from down here, put it up here. I think most, if not all, gimbals should really incorporate some sort of secondary grip option like this. And like I said, I came from the Moza Air 2, which it could do underslung mode, but just from the regular handle being down here, where you could just kind of prop it down and the cradle would go lower. But I think the ability to do a two-handed grip like this just puts you in a lot more control. You feel like you have some additional just axis control in general. And number 5 would be the Bluetooth capability of this. You can download an app on either Android or Apple called ZY Play. Allows for connectivity to your device. And I think what's special for me about this piece of technology is it's got gyro sensitivity now, but you can also essentially just control it via the gyroscope in your phone. And so even if you were hands-free, you got it set up and it's in a location that you can't necessarily get to or keep your hands on the gimbal, that's okay, because you can control all from your phone, not only from the joystick within the app, but by just moving your phone up and down, left to right. That to me is really, really cool. All right, so now we come to the 5 downers. Like I said, I've only had this for a few weeks, and these are gonna be a little nitpicky. Probably not something that other people are gonna be talking about, and I wanted to give you all some real life knowledge of what you're gonna be running into when you have this when you have this gimbal. Number 1, this is a right-handed gimbal. I'm left-handed, so for all of you left-handers out there who are not ambidextrous, you're gonna have a little bit of a learning curve. The reason why I say it's a right-handed gimbal is because of this guy right here, the wheel. When your hand, if you're left-handed and your hand sits here, it runs into the wheel and you can't like appropriately cradle it. Not only can you not use the wheel when you're holding it like this, but you also can't use the function button and or the lock and point of view buttons here. It was a little bit getting used to, but the way that I kind of compensate for that is throwing up the underslung mode. And whether or not I have my camera actually in underslung, I just keep my left-handed here on the grip, and that kind of, it's a happy medium. And I've kind of gotten used to controlling the anchor grip with my right hand instead of left hand. Number 2, and this is probably the most nitpicky I can get here, but it's the screws. The screws on these plates, not only the quick release plate, but on the additional high riser plate, are super, super inconvenient. I mean, first of all, look how small they are. And to get your hands in there to try to tighten it to the bottom of your camera, I mean, most of the time, to be honest, I'm using either my keys or a coin, or if I'm at home, using a screwdriver. I think one thing that they could have really done to kind of pay attention to the fine-tuned details of this product would be to just put a little pop-up grip. So this is a Manfrotto plate for my tripod. This screw here, it's got a little pop-up grip that you can essentially use to tighten it, right? Super convenient, super easy to add on. I mean, you're literally just adding an additional piece of metal on the screw head, but it makes such a difference because you're not using your fingernail, or you're not using a coin or keys. So I think improving your screws to just have that additional latch on them would be really, really convenient, because these screws are kind of hard to anchor down and tighten, especially when you have expensive gear on a gimbal like this. You want to make sure everything is anchored down and tight as possible, right? Number 3. So this is kind of, I don't classify this as being a part of this product per se. It's the quick release optional add-on that you can add either on the website or on Amazon. But essentially what this allows you to do, essentially switch modes from normal mode to underslung mode very quickly. Like so. So now, ideally, is you can do that super quick. 2 problems. Number 1, the one that I ordered off of Amazon, which came from the manufacturer, only came with one of these bottom plates. Kind of odd. So you can attach the quick release onto here, but you have nothing here. Okay, I'm not sure if that was supposed to be included. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me why they would only include one of these anchor plates on there, but just be forewarned that if you buy the add-on, you might just end up with one plate. Even if I did have 2 plates, I don't know how confident I feel about this. Not due to the fact of this anchor point here. I feel like that's really strong and stable, but it's very, very easy to unscrew. You can anchor it all you want, you can tighten it all you want, but it feels just very easy to unscrew. I don't know why, because the handle's got rubber on that end and the quick release has rubber on the other end, but I'm not sure what Zhiyun could do to improve that. So I'm probably not going to be using this quick release that much, to be honest. I think that once you get the hang of screwing the handle in, it's quick enough. Number 4 is what I call the caffeine shakes. It kind of came as a surprise, but this gimbal, while the motors have increased torque and strength capacity, since the gimbal all in all is just a lighter piece of gear compared to its peers, if you are using this in any amount of windy environment, your footage is going to experience a little bit of shakiness. Since I use a Fuji X-T3, my camera does not have IBIS in body stabilization. So just be forewarned that if your camera doesn't have IBIS, if your lens doesn't have IBIS, you might experience some shakiness. So something you'll need to adjust in post whenever you edit the footage. Number 5 is actually the grip. It's plastic. The tripod portion is metal, the motors are metal, but this middle portion just straight up plastic. So there is a little bit of squeakiness that is there whenever you're screwing the tripod in and out, going from here to the underslung mode. To be honest, I know it's light, and I know Zhiyun, you're trying to probably market this as the lightest, strongest gimbal as possible. I would almost prefer the entire body to just be metal, just like the material of the tripod or the material of the motors. It just gives me a little less confidence when you hear that. But again, saves on weight. You're not going to be bending your gimbal a lot, ideally. You shouldn't be. And to be honest, I think most gimbals have some plastic body parts in them anyways, but just a bit of confidence, especially since it's holding a bunch of gear. I would just feel more comfortable if it was all metal. And really the only piece we're talking about is just this L piece right here. It'd be great if it was just all metal. I don't think it would add a whole lot of weight. So overall, everyone, I really enjoy this. It was a great switch for me going from the Moza Air 2 to this. I think this is definitely hands down one of the best gimbals on the market for the price and the size and what it's able to do with kind of Bluetooth capability, all wrapped into one. Great product. Well, that's all for now. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers. Wanted to ask too, how did you guys like the intro? Man, it's definitely a learning curve trying to learn how to do all that, but any feedback would be much appreciated. I'd love to make any changes you guys suggest, and keep me sharpening my skills. Thanks.